buy Italian sausage, all of them contain fennel and red pepper flakes, and that's all wrong for the flavor of this dish. So we decided we need to make our own sausage out of store-bought ground pork. Store-bought ground pork contains a pretty consistent ratio of 80% lean meat to 20% fat, which is ideal for sausage. And sausage at its simplest is just meat, fat, and salt. To start off, we needed to salt the meat, but that whole process takes about an hour or more. So we decided to make a quick brine out of this. 4 teaspoons of water, 1 1/8 teaspoons of kosher salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'll just whisk this together to dissolve the salt. Then I'm just going to fold in the ground pork just until it's incorporated. The salt does 2 things here. It obviously seasons the meat, but it also makes it more tender. And the baking soda, which is kind of the odd ingredient here, it increases the pH of the meat, which improves its water holding capacity and allows it to maintain its moisture once it's fully cooked. All right, now that the brine is fully incorporated into the meat, we're just going to let it sit for about 10 minutes.
So as Brian just said, baking soda is the odd ingredient in our sausage, and here's why we use it. We're having a lot of trouble. We made the sausage, we cooked it, it was very dry. Well, here's why. The pH scale goes from 0 to 14. Very acidic at 0, very alkaline at 14. The meat was sitting at the isoelectric point, which is about 5.2. That means there are an equal number of positive ions in the meat and negative ions. And of course, positive and negative attract each other. A very tight bonding of proteins, which pushes out water. So we didn't want to have an equal number. Baking soda is alkaline. It changed the pH, it increased it. Then you end up with more negative ions than positive ions. Negative repels negative. You get a much looser structure. There's more room for the water, and you get much juicier sausage.
All right, Chris, so the meat has been brining for about 10 minutes now, so we can go ahead and add all our flavors. We have 1 teaspoon of garlic, 3/4 teaspoon of fresh chopped rosemary, 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. So we just go ahead and work that into the sausage. And what I want to do here is I want to kind of smear the sausage up against the side of the bowl. And what this does, it realigns the proteins in the meat, so it gives it that sausage snap that you're used to. All right, so now that this is all combined for about 15 seconds, we're going to go ahead and turn it out onto a greased dinner plate. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make this into a 6-inch patty. So we found this to be a much better way to cook the sausage. If we threw the sausage in the skillet and tried to break it up with a spoon and cook it like you would normal sausage, it still tended to dry out a little bit. But this way, we're going to make it into a patty, and we're going to sear both sides, develop some nice browning, which is flavor, and keep the center of the patty nice and raw so it maintains its moisture. Before we drop that into the skillet, we need to cut up some mushrooms in the food processor. In Norcia, they usually use black truffles for this recipe. Ooh, kind of expensive and very hard to find in the States. So instead, we're using cremini mushrooms. We have 8 ounces there, and that adds a lot of nice background flavor, even though it's not as fancy. So we're just going to pulse that until they're finely chopped. Just about 10 pulses. Perfect. Okay, so now we're ready to cook the patty. I preheated 2 teaspoons of oil in this 12-inch skillet here over medium-high heat. And we can just go ahead and drop the patty into the skillet. We'll let it cook for about 2 minutes per side until it's nicely browned. Okay. All right, so Chris, while I'm cooking the patty, why don't you go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of kosher salt, along with 1 pound of orchette into this water here. All right, Chris, you can see the sausage is nicely browned on both sides. Turn off the heat, transfer it to a cutting board. I'm just going to chop this in small pieces, about 1/4 inch big.
You want a compliment? This was actually a really good idea. I never would have thought that. I think Brian's so shocked he's having a personal moment.
I've never been complimented before. Okay. So the sausage is finely chopped. I'm going to add it to this bowl. And to that, we're going to add 3/4 cup heavy cream. By doing this, we infuse the cream with a little bit of that sausage flavor. Okay. So now we can return to our skillet. Over medium heat, we're going to add a tablespoon of oil. And we can add all of our mushrooms that we chopped. Okay, and an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to cook that until the mushrooms begin to brown. It takes about 7 minutes. And I should just mention that the reason we chop the mushrooms so finely is because it tastes just soft that any larger pieces kind of increase Chris, you can see the mushrooms are nicely brown now, so we're going to go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of oil, 2 teaspoons of garlic, half a teaspoon of rosemary, and a half teaspoon of black pepper. We'll just cook that for about 30 seconds. And these flavors mimic all the flavors we put in our sausage, right? Okay, so you can smell everything cooking there. It's nice and fragrant. We're going to add a half cup of dry white wine. And we're going to let that cook until it completely evaporates. While that's going on, you want to go ahead and drain the pasta and reserve 1.5 cups of the pasta cooking water. And you can just return the pasta to the pot. And if you want to just go ahead and separate 3/4 of a cup out of that pasta water. Alright, you see that the wine is completely evaporated from the mushrooms now. We're going to go ahead and add our sausage and cream mixture. If you want to add 3/4 of a cup of that pasta cooking water. We'll let this simmer away for about 3 minutes until the sausage is cooked through.
That really looks good.
All right, Chris, the sausage is cooked through, and go ahead and... Yeah, looks good, right?
Yes, it does look good.
You proud of me?
Oh, well, I'm going to taste it first. I'm sorry, but so far so good.
All right, now turn off the heat. I'm going to stir in 3/4 of a cup of grated pecorino cheese. The pecorino is traditional to the region and the dish. Just stir it in until it's fully melted and smooth. All right, you want to take the lid off that pot. We can go ahead and add the sauce. We can add 3 tablespoons of chopped fresh parsley and a tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm going to go ahead and give that a stir. I'll just season with a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. And we have some of the reserved pasta cooking water if you think it looks a little bit too thick, which I think it does. A little bit more water, maybe? Splash.
You're trying to make this a health dish by adding more water to it? I think the cream's in there already, so is the sausage.
Alright, I think we're ready.
I think you should eat it, Boy, this looks good. This is your big moment.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is really good, huh?
This is an A+. You know, I don't like telling Brian things are really good, because then he'll just walk around beaming for weeks, but this is really, really good. Boy, that was good. You know, what's really surprising to me is the ground pork from the supermarket when you turn it into this. Because normally I think, well, what's the point?
It's got a lot of flavor. You wouldn't know it wasn't real sausage.
So pasta alla norcina has a problem, which is we don't have that great sausage here in the States. But we made it out of ground pork, oddly enough. Some baking soda, which actually made it looser textured and a little moister when cooked. And you cooked it with some rosemary, garlic, and in large patties to the inside to get dried out. Cooked up some pasta. The sauce is very similar with garlic and rosemary as well, with some cream. And there you have it, from America's test kitchen to your kitchen, an all-new way to cook pasta with pasta alla norcina, cream and sausage. You can get this recipe, all the recipes from the season.